Live. Okay, it's back up. I'm actually on the YouTube app now. Let's see if I can actually see something that somebody says here, because there's no point in doing this if we don't have any feedback coming in. All right, but what I was saying later, we did ADS-B on the airplane. What ADS-B is, it's enhanced surveillance. All right, now I got feedback from Dan Peel. Hey, man, good to see you. There's Noah. I don't know what happened with that OBS app I was trying to use. That's supposed to be like the best, and it was just wasn't happening. I tried to use that last time also, and kind of ran into a dead end with it. Oh, we got a bunch of people here. Hopefully I didn't leave people over on the other side when I left there. Hello to everybody. Good to see you guys. Hope y'all are having a great weekend. We just got back from a camping trip. I think I told you guys that we've got like a little trailer, little RV trailer for 2 people, and we took it out in the fall for 1 night. And we've never done anything like that. Total adventure for us. But we took it out for 3 nights this week, 4 days. And we had some issues, worked them through. Fortunately, I married a really smart woman, which kind of saved my bacon there on the trailer, because she figured out how to get the water going. I could not. It was a mess. I thought I had broken something, but she figured it out. The second day, I actually had to go fly and come back, and I planned it so I was just about 40 minutes north of here, and I could go back and do something for a day. And so that worked out really well, because I was able to, I went right by the house, took a quick shower, and checked the mail and all that stuff. Boy, let's see who we got here. Hey, Chris, good to see you. Oh, bunch of folks here. Wow. Okay, so I guess the notification worked. That went out. 95 on the written. Congratulations. I know that feels good. That is a really tough test to study for. But I would almost say the private is the toughest, because you start with 0 experience. At least with the others, like the instrument, the commercial, the ATP, you've got some experience already. It gives you something to base this stuff on that you're studying. But congratulations, that's fantastic. Good to hear that. Oh, there's FL Aviator from Orlando. Good to see you. I know it's got to be warmer. Usually we're warmer by now, but we've had some fairly cold days. It should be like we should be hitting some 80s already, but we've had very few days that have even come close to that so far. Private was the hardest idea. Terrible. Private's hard. It's hard for everybody that does it. And for one of the reasons it's really hard for people is they don't know what to expect. You don't know what to expect on the written. You don't know. I mean, people tell you what to expect, but till you do it, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's just all the stuff I did before, but you're all worked up about it. Let's see what else we got going here. Campers are an adventure. You are right about that. Yeah. Well, what had happened was I had winterized it myself, and then we were going to de-winterize it, and I did. And then when it came time to turn on the water, we turned it on, and it was just one spurts. And I thought, maybe the pump's going out, but it would have some water and then some spurts and shut off and then some more water. And it sounded like the uptake line out of the tank was getting air into it. And I couldn't figure it out. I thought, what the heck? And while I was flying, she got on YouTube and found a video that addressed the very specific problem we had. And one of the valves was actually a valve that should have been closed was open. And it was some type of vent valve. And as soon as she closed that, it started right up. And I had looked over it, and totally missed that. Sun and Fun. I would, Texans fan, I would love to go to Sun and Fun. That sounds like so much fun, but I've always been working. Same for Oshkosh. I've delivered a plane during Oshkosh, but we had to head right back out. So I didn't get to really stay and enjoy it. But, I love air shows. So I think that would be a lot of fun. 90 degrees in Dallas, Tuesday, Wednesday, 55. Good old Dallas. Yeah, you guys are going to bake this year like every year. Love Dallas. There's Jason from Detroit. Good to see you. Grand Junction, Colorado. I've been to Grand Junction, been to Detroit. Yeah. 85. There's another Florida aviator there. 75 in Vegas. We were in Vegas about 2 weeks ago. The thing about Vegas is I love visiting. I'm not sure I would like to live there, but I like going there because it's so unique. It's always interesting. Usually we'll stay on the Strip, and I'm sure that's not what 95% of Vegas is like, but it's always interesting. What I wouldn't like is the lack of trees. I like trees, but I do love visiting Vegas. Color, no one would hire you as a small plane pilot if you get to fly during the day only. Oh, I see what you're saying. If you have a day restriction only, yeah, that's a problem as far as getting hired, because a lot of times people will stay somewhere into the evening, but there are some exceptions to that now that I think about it, like pipeline patrol, power line patrol, forestry work, stuff like that. All that's daylight type stuff, daylight work. Years ago, I used to do stuff for the Corps of Engineers waterway patrol. That was all during the day. Got a cushy job? Okay. Wow. Let's see. I wish this would tell me how many people. I think we got 114 people here. And I wanted to ask you guys, because I was thinking about what can I talk about before I start this. And I was thinking about trainers. What's your favorite primary trainer? I started in the Cessna 152 and I loved it. I love the 152 to this day. I think it's a great plane. But some people went in the Beechcraft Skipper or some of the smaller Piper aircraft, things like that. Right now you got some of these composite trainers, very, very nice trainers out there that people learn in, and they've got full glass, all this stuff. One of the drawbacks, though, is it's expensive. I mean, you get a brand new trainer, brand new Cessna trainer, something like that with the nice avionics panel. It's expensive, very expensive. Just it drives the price up. Unfortunately, Cessna 172. I instructed in the 172 and I did a little work in the 172. It was a great airplane. I'm not 6 foot tall, over 6 feet. I'm 5'9", so I just fit right into that 152, no problem. And it's cheaper. That's why I say the 152. But the 172 is just a bigger version of the 152. It's a great airplane, and the 182, except for I don't think I ever made good landings in the 182. That's the only thing I got about that airplane. And that was me. Cessna floated for you? Yep. Liberty XL2. I'm not familiar with that. PC7. Okay, wow, we got a whole bunch of airplanes here. Oh, I mean, even the N numbers. I can remember the N number of one of the first planes I instructed in. 757 Tango Hotel, November 6519er. I can't remember the third one, but those things stick with you for many years afterwards. I'm going to have to figure out, I really want to get this down because I want to be able to have, and I've seen other people do this, pictures of people where you could actually speak and have a two-way conversation going on. I think that would be very interesting. I think it'd be much more interesting. Get some good conversations going on. Maybe have some people that you guys haven't met yet that are in aviation. That would be very interesting. Puerto Rico. Hey, Samcat 19. I've been to Puerto Rico, been to San Juan. My wife was just in San Juan about 3 months ago. Yeah, we both love it down there. Beautiful. Lots of fun. I went. One thing that just stands out in my mind is that big fort. Is it Fort Cristobal? Maybe I got the name wrong. But we were there on a Sunday, and it has a huge grass area in front of it. And there must have been hundreds of people on that field on a Sunday afternoon with blankets, having picnic lunches and visiting, and all of the kites that were flying out by the fort. And we went and toured the fort, and on the very top, where you had the parapets with the stone and masonry work there was kind of rough. You could see where kite strings had gotten stuck in there, where people's kites had gotten away from them. Is 59 too old to work on commercial? I personally don't think so. Well, it depends on what you want to do. I take that back. If it's going to take a long time and you're going to go into the airlines, it may be, because they have a mandatory retirement age of 65 now. Most general aviation companies, lots of small corporate departments don't have an age limit. I met a guy who was a private pilot's license. This was in Las Vegas. He stopped me and said he'd been watching my videos, and it had inspired him to go ahead and get his commercial. He already had a little time to get his commercial and got a job flying a Cessna Citation, 52 years old. That was his first job in aviation. So that worked out for him. I should have gotten his name. I forgot his name, though. Corporate or CFI? For CFI, no. I mean, there are really a lot of old guys out there. And for corporate, I say it depends on the company. It really does depend on the company. So you've got to network, find out about what companies are in your area, and find out what they want, what their requirements are. Let's see. Oh, El Moro. Okay. Yeah, that's right. New York. All right. Albany. Yeah, I've flown in there. First solo in 1973 in a Cessna 150. Yeah. Love the 150. I did some instructing in the 150, but I soloed in the 152. Hello, Captain. Have you ever used electronic logbook? No. Okay. More than once. In fact, I'm guessing like every 6 months, I wish I had started using electronic logbook. I've still got a paper logbook. I've got a big one. I use these big old monsters. Here's one right here that I've already finished off. I've got another one I'm about to finish off. The problem is I get behind on my logbooks. I go back, fill it in, but then you have these insurance companies that want all your time. And I may work for a couple of companies, and each one of them, once a year will want for their insurance company your current times and stuff like that. But I've noticed that they'll change it up occasionally, and they may have a category that you haven't been tracking, or how many hours of PIC night instrument time you have in this airplane. And now it's like, oh no, this is going to be a pain going back and doing that. If I had an electronic logbook, no problem. But I would say that if you do that, back it up, because it's like this. If it got burned up, how would I recreate it? Your computer gets out by lightning and you don't have it backed up. Well, that's a problem. It's a big problem for you. But you can recreate it. Oh, here's another thing. Every time you take a check ride and you do that 8410, make sure you put in the actual times you have, because you can get those records from the FAA. And let's say your logbooks were destroyed in a fire, you can get those and use those as a record of time that you had, your total times and stuff like that, which would be very helpful. Because once you start flying professionally as PIC, you're probably taking a ride every 6 months for your equipment check, then your instrument check, maybe a 299. So those are all opportunities to put in times and have a record that is stored somewhere other than where you keep your logbook. Yeah, ForeFlight's good. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I meant to have my hat here. I got a package from FlightAware, which I use, and they sent me a nice baseball cap. So I wanted to thank FlightAware for the baseball cap and some stickers and some other stuff they sent me. That was a very nice surprise. I've never met those guys, but somehow they found me and sent that. And my wife uses ForeFlight. because a lot of times I don't have time to tell her, and I may be running late or something like that. And she'll look on ForeFlight to get a good idea of what time I'm getting in. What would my career be if I weren't a pilot? Well, the last full-time job I had before I became a pilot, I managed a store in a mall for a company called Electronics Boutique. And out of 350 something stores, I had the highest profit store in the company. And I became an area manager for them. And I told this story just recently. Decided I was going to be a pilot. I ran off to be a pilot and left that behind. I think Pilot to Pilot, some of you people will be familiar with him. He does pilot blogs, not pilot blogs, podcasts. He does pilot podcasts and interviews pilots. I did about an hour and a half interview with him last week. And I told that story in there about what I was doing before I actually became a pilot. What were you thinking about? The 737 MAX 800, that is a very sad situation. That is just an absolute shame that happened. Obviously, they're still working on it. Very motivated to get it right. But it sounds like, the primary problem is something with the airplane that they're going to have to correct. I've never flown a 737, so I can't speak on it as an expert. I've flown an aircraft that had a stall barrier system. That if you stalled the aircraft, it would hydraulically push the yoke forward. The one that I flew, we had a big red guarded switch on the pedestal to disengage it. And it was, if you didn't, I believe it was 80 pounds of pressure to overcome that hydraulic pushing of the yoke forward. So at 80 pounds of pressure, you would wear out really fast. And it sounds like those guys were fighting it. The up and down until they just finally hit the ground. So I think it's a combination of problems. There's a problem with their system or their sensors for it. There's a problem in documentation with it. It sounds like there wasn't adequate documentation for the crews, and it sounds like there may possibly be a training issue also. One of the crews, I think there wasn't. I think there was a possibility with the other one, but we'll just see in the end. It's all speculation right now, but just very sad that happened. But the thing is, if everything goes to hell, you just fly it till you hit the ground. Don't ever stop flying the airplane. Just keep flying it. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that, Benjamin. Very kind of you. Well, the Citation 2, I haven't flown it probably in a month. Yeah, it's gone. It is gone. Got sold. So, but that's going to end up being replaced. And it makes me think I got to go pick up the Caravan pretty soon here. Pick it up in Florida. Ireland. Hey, James. Good to see you here from Ireland. That's one of those places I would love to visit. Yeah. In my opinion, Matthew asks, is CFI still the best way to build time? Okay. Every now and then I met somebody who either was not in the military or was not a CFI and just happened to be the luckiest guy in the world and got hired on someplace right away with this commercial. And hey, Billy Laptop, thanks. I appreciate that. Wow. Billy Laptop just dropped to 20. Oh, man. I'm very flattered. I really am. Thank you so much. That is kind of you. I wasn't even really sure that was going to work right here since I did all this switching and everything. Okay, back to what you were saying. I totally lost my track there. Gosh, what was? Somebody remind me here. Matthew Frazier, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, it comes up as like a Billy got a big orange yellow thing and Matthew got a big blue thing. So it definitely catches your attention here. Do I ever fly VFR? Very seldom, very seldom. M2 replacement, it will probably be a Challenger 300 is what we're thinking. But, you know, the guy I work for says this airplane he's buying is going to be his last one. I don't believe it. He's been buying and selling for way too long. It's in his blood. It is in his blood. Yes. Hey, Messmaker, thank you so much. Oh, I didn't even realize it would do pounds. Yeah. Oh, Jeff. Okay. First of all, you know, get to my age, you know, you forget stuff all the time. I apologize, whoever was answering that question, and got sidetracked, and it'll come back to me, and I'll get back to it. But okay, Messmaker just brought up Jeff. I'm thinking he's talking about Jeff Fabiano. I knew Jeff Fabiano. He's a big YouTube gamer guy, and I've done some videos with him. He moved down to Florida, though, and we did a collaboration. I think it was X-Plane 9 or 10 with the virtual reality headset. It was very interesting. He set me up to fly a 737 and a 172, and it was okay. It was confusing to me because, and I really felt like because I fly airplanes. When you fly a real airplane, there is a physical feedback that you get from the controls. They will actually tend to resist you the faster you go, and you're getting this feedback. You get tactile information from it. You get tactile information from the seat of your pants, from the sound of the airflow. There's all sorts of other inputs. And obviously you don't get that when you're doing, at least at this stage of virtual reality, when you're doing the flight sim stuff. So I think I was trying to pick up cues because it is immersive. It draws you in. It's very cool. So I think my brain was starting to expect those types of inputs, which I wasn't getting. And then I would find you would want to reach over and touch a flip or do something. But even though you could see it in the virtual reality, you would have to do it with a mouse. So there was a disconnect. You know, you've got to change your way of thinking between the two. But it is very cool. And I think it is very effective for learning procedures and instrument procedures and all sorts of stuff like that. It's going to mature. I mean, it's going to be big. It's already big. But thanks, Messmaker. Appreciate it. You know, you guys are fantastic. Let's see. Hate flight sim. It's not real. But, you know, the thing about it, though, is if you can't afford an airplane, it's affordable and it's very cool. You can, in that sense, you know, be a aviator on the internet, flying within the world of the internet. There is a coolness factor to it. It can be really fun. TAC, what TAC? Challenger 604 pilot. TAC Air? Is that what you're talking about? I'm not sure. Oh, I was answering a question on CFI as being the fast. Oh, building time. Okay, I'm glad. I am really glad, Richard, that you pulled me back to that. Okay, most people, 95%, either built their time in the military or they built it as CFI. You find these unusual cases where somebody was able to bypass that. I cannot think of, if you were not in the military, I can't think of any faster way to build time than as a CFI. And that will probably get you into a job with a charter company. And charter company, a busy charter company, once you get into doing that, you will get lots of experience and you will get it quickly. I've had charter, most of my jobs throughout my career have been charter jobs, and they will keep you running, keep you busy. One thing that keeps you sharp in charter is it's always a different place. It's always a different situation. They tend to get you qualified in multiple aircraft, you know, doing different things because they want to maximize, you know, your ability to make money for the company. Every charter outfit I've worked for, I definitely say I got lots of time and lots of experience. It was really good experience. I would definitely suggest that. Get on with a busy charter operator. And now with the hiring, a lot of these charter operators, their requirements, for people they're looking at have started to come down in the number of hours. You still got to have the training. You still got to have the legal minimums. But now, you're not going to have some guy in the right seat with 4,000 hours that you're competing against when you've got 800. I think the Honda Jet looks interesting, Mike. I've at NBA, I went and looked on one, looked in it. I don't know. We're just going to have to see what happens with the Honda Jet. It's one of those light jets. That's about all I can tell you. Yeah. Let's see. Hello from Houston. Thanks. I appreciate that. Prior planes not blocked, non-uniform blocked. Any specific reasons? Would love to head out to and say hello. Non-uniform's not blocked. Now, what happens is, like to uniform, I'm assuming at this point it is blocked because it was sold. And those people probably have a totally different end number. And it's not that it's blocked. It's just that there's no longer an N2U out there flying. It's they probably, the guy that I work for likes these 3-letter call signs, and he'll tend to, as part of the deal, he keeps the call sign, the registration, and reserves it. And he'll save that for the next time he has an airplane and wants to use it. We've had a bunch of these 3 letters, like 1 Quebec, 2 Quebec, 9 uniform, 2 uniform, and there's probably a dozen of them. Those are the ones that just come to mind right now. Stan, that's true. Yeah. Don't short yourself on fuel. You're right. Okay, Captain J. Paul, best plane to start a charter business with? Wow, that's a good question. I'm not even sure I'm qualified for that. I mean, you'd have to do a lot of research on that. The citations are very popular with charter companies. The older ones, they're still good for charter, but you can get them cheaper. So, but yeah, I wouldn't be qualified to tell you that. Let's see. Good afternoon, Jeff. Let's see. What kind of equipment do you use to record and edit your videos? Well, I have, I wonder if I can take the camera off. You can see my office. Let's try this. Oh, there's my laptop. Not my laptop. There's my desktop sitting right there. And one Christmas, my kids put that together for me, built me a laptop for, not a laptop, but a desktop for video editing. And I was using a laptop, or old laptop that was very slow to do that. The software I use is Power Director 16. Probably not the best, but that's the one I'm used to. So that's what I use. And I've been updating it every year. I don't know if I'm going to update to 17 because now you got to pay so much per month as more like a subscription instead of actually buying it. But we'll see what happens. A lot of people, use the Apple products for video, well, use the Apple computers, and then the dedicated software for Apple computers, which is that might be Final Cut Pro that they use for that. But it works for me. What made me choose corporate flying over airlines? One of the things was my age. I got in late. When I got my license and ended up getting what I needed for an ATP, there was zero hiring. And when that finally started to move a little bit, people were requiring $10,000 training contracts, send in $50 with an application that probably they weren't even going to look at, just cash the $50 check. So eventually, I ended up working somewhere else. And now you're making money, paying the bills and stuff like that. It's hard to go backwards now and take a pay cut as an FO, even on an airline for the first couple of years. Knowing that you've got a limited future, and gosh, at that point also, the ability to move from the right seat up into the left seat was years. Unless I just didn't have a job, I had no interest in, or I had no interest in going any place where I was going to be forever a co-pilot. Oh, UK, I've been there once, been there twice in a Gulfstream. I would love to go back there again and visit. Richard, yes, 25 is a good age to start. I feel like the earlier you start, the better, much better. Let's see who else we got. We got Corey. Yes, he's answering it for me. He's right. Corey is right. 25 is a good age. Let's see. What else can we talk about here? I've got some stuff here. You guys actually brought some of the stuff up that I was going to talk about. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I need to talk about this. Okay, this last video I put up, I get this question so many times. When we had the XLS, I have the GoPro on the instrument panel on the pilot's flight display, MFD, and you get a very good picture. Those are the newer monitors on there. For the XL, it has the older type monitors, that were the cathode ray tubes. And those things refresh every 60 seconds. It's got a refresh rate. And you don't see it with your naked eye, but it's constantly redrawing the picture up there. But the camera catches that because it's out of sync between the monitor and the camera. And it catches different frames that are being put up there at different times. And that's why it has that flicker. And you'll notice on some days the flicker is very, very bad. But if we turn and maybe change the light, I think what it does is it changes the aperture setting in the camera, which we can't manually take care of. And you may see that actually go away, that flicker, get a solid image on the PFD. And then as we turn back again, then you start getting the flicker again. Can't do anything about that. That's just the way it is with some of the older airplanes. If you look way back at some of my older videos, like in the with electronic cockpits, it was it was 2U, the XL, not XL, it was the Encore did that. That was very frustrating, very frustrating. So this airplane, you'll see that. And you may notice that the side view on there, there's like a little, looks like a little drip. And people say, oh, I need to clean that off. I can't clean it off. Those glass windows have a protective plexiglass or plastic cover over them, and there's space, and air blows through there to kind of prevent condensation between the two. But apparently there was at some point condensation, and it was just had one little drip, and it stopped like there with some dust in it, so it shows up as a blur. That's what that is on there. So something else about that video I wanted to mention also. Can't think of what it was. Let me sit up so I don't look like such a slacker here. Yeah, I gotta remember to look at the camera. Look at the camera, folks. Yeah, I do fly to Salina a lot. In the Caravan, I think it was varied from 2 hours and 15 minutes to 2 hours and 30 minutes in the Caravan. Faster coming back the other direction with the tailwind. So it was a pretty good trip. Actually, I got to go to Caravan, to Salina next week, do a pickup. I like cars. Yes. If yes, what are your favorite cars? I like the Ford Mustang. I do. I've got a pickup truck now, which I love. I did not realize how much I would love a pickup truck. I got a Chevy 1500. Hey, Corey Robin, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah. Oh, you've got all sorts of colors and emojis there. Wow. Thank you very much, brother. Appreciate that. Right on. Yeah. And a lot of these people I've worked for have been car collectors also. Some very, very nice cars. Yeah. getting to drive them, it's like I couldn't afford this. No, but they are nice cars, you know. I used to work for a guy who used to put his cars in a bubble, you know, in the hangar. And I was out there a couple of months ago, and he still had a car in the hangar in the bubble, you know, to keep the dust off of it. The thing is, you know, a $250,000 car, $300,000 car, I'd be afraid to drive it on the street. Well, wait, I think I have done that, but I would hate to buy one and drive it on the street. I'd be afraid I'd scratch something or hit something or be hit, you know. I occasionally get to Southern California. We have probably not been to Southern California in a year. I do enjoy going out there. We went out to, last time we went out there, we went to Van Nuys, and we also went to, oh gosh, I can't think of the other place. I think we went to a concert out there is what we did. Yeah. Oh, Ricardo, good to see you here from Portugal. Is there a corporate jet you are glad to get out of? Usually the corporate jet I'm happy to get out of is the one that we've been in for 5 hours. I've done a couple of trips in some citations coming back from, and these were the smaller ones without the stand-up lab or anything like that. Like coming back from the West Coast, 4 hours. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a long time to go and not use the bathroom. And I remember once, well, I flew the Citation 501 that had the Williams mod on it and had the Eagle mod also. For you people that aren't familiar about it, they would take these old airframes and put on the Williams engines, very efficient engines on them. And they did an Eagle mod, which put kind of like a bubble type area over the inboard part of the wing. And that would give it extra lift at high altitude. It could go to a higher cruise altitude, extend the range of the aircraft, but it also gave them more room for more fuel. And I flew for a bank that had a 501 with both of those mods going from St. Louis to Phoenix, and the winds were horrendous. It was 4.5 hours. By the time we got on the ground there, oh, those guys were just begging to get off the airplane, just literally crying to go hit the men's room there. Those are usually the ones I want out of, you know, unless, because it's really not appropriate for that type trip. Most people are just not going to sit in an airplane that long unless they have a stand-up lav. So those are the kind of airplanes you normally use for shorter trips, maybe once a year, and then have a fuel stop along the way. So I found that odd that people were actually paying for that mod for that reason. Let's see. No, well, you know, I have been to Aero Toy Store a long time ago. Is that the Citation Long Wing? I'm not sure which one you're talking about. All right, I'm just kind of catching some of these questions real fast as they come back down here. Haven't been to Sacramento lately. The last time I went to Sacramento, we had an airplane that had a blown landing gear strut, and that piston there, they were servicing it at the service center there. That was probably 5 years ago. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to tell a story about a blown strut, just because it came to me, and you guys are all here, and you've probably never heard the story. So years ago, I worked for a 135 operator, and we were flying Citation 650s. This was the Citation 3, and there was a new guy who had just gotten typed in it, and I'm not sure he was typed, but yeah, I think he was. He was typed. He was in the left seat, and he was just new to it, and he was, you know, getting comfortable in it. And we were taking off out of an airport in Florida. We had a little wind. It was a crosswind, and the 650, it had a tendency to get a little swirly in a crosswind, but nothing you couldn't manage. So he's taking off, and we're going, and he's got that correction over the crosswind. And just as he starts to raise that nose, all of a sudden, man, he's like going off to the side. I mean, and I'm saying, I won't say his name. I said, pull it up. And he pulls it up, and we're just like right off, and pulls it back. And he's like, I don't know what happened. That wind, it just like, and I'm thinking, man, I can't believe that just happened, that you did that. We're going to have to talk about this when we get on the ground. And so we land, I think it was in Tampa we landed. And I'm thinking, there's something about this airplane as we're taxiing in. I think I'm leading, not a little bit, but leading. And so we pull up to the FBO and shut down and get out. And sure enough, the left side of the airplane is down like this. And what had happened was the seal for that piston strut in the landing gear had failed, and it had collapsed into there. And as soon as he did that happen, and it must have happened, I'm guessing, because it wasn't like that before we started the roll. As we were actually on that roll, and of course, when that piston collapsed, it went down like this. As soon as it comes down like that, and he's already putting in some crosswind correction, you get an even more exaggerated, lift vector into the wind, and that's what happened there. I just thought it was something interesting that happened to me once, because that's how a lot of people learn, because you don't go pick up an aviation book and look in there, okay, yep, oh yeah, okay, collapsed wheel strut, loss of the seal on the piston, and this is what happens now. They don't, that's not in there. Let's see. Well, I'm in Missouri, so I can't tell you about Kansas today, but I am sure, well, I don't know. They had that snow. Didn't they get snow from all that weather earlier in the week? I don't know if the snow's gone or not. Let's see. Have you ever thought about doing a trip vlog similar to what Premier Driver does? I have, and it just did not work very well for me. So I figured, well, I do the same thing everybody else is doing. I'll do something different. I'll do what I enjoy doing and go with it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's at the worst, when I finally retire, this will be going back and like looking through my logbook and seeing these trips and things, and people I was with, and the things I did and stuff like that. I just enjoy making them. Let's see. What about doing a boy, I wish I could hear your voices. I try to read it. It's gone. Boom, boom, boom. APU or GPU? APU. Definitely an APU man. GPU can be a pain in the butt. GPU is the ground power unit. You've got to have a line guy out there, plug it in, and you can power your air conditioner on the ground, and you can use it for an engine start. The problem is that when you're using it for an engine start and you've got it all closed up, you've got to have somebody out there that you can signal to disengage it. If you don't have a line guy out there, or the line guy's out doing something else, you're kind of stuck till you can get somebody to disengage it for you. So APU is nice though. I mean, you turn that thing on, run the air conditioning, run the heat, get everything set up, all ready to go. People on board, close the door, start the engines, call for clearance to taxi. You're out of there. Let's see. Well, back you said you flew for TW Express. I did. Yeah, in the early 90s. I flew the Brasilia. Yes, I was an FO on the Brasilia. Do I wish I would have stayed with the airlines? Well, it would have given me it's a double-edged sword. I don't have any regrets as far as the career I have, because I've done lots of really interesting things. I've met great people, people I never would have met before. Just about everybody I like in aviation. I like the people that own the planes, the business people, the passengers, the pilots, the ground crews, the people in the FBOs. I've gone to places I would never have gone, done things that I would not have done with the airlines. The airlines has great advantages, great people, good equipment, good pay, schedules. See, that's the big one right there. I don't have that schedule they have. So it makes it more difficult for me to manage my life with a family because it's hard to get the time that is actually scheduled for things. Let's see who we got here. Yeah, 747. I'll start my training tomorrow. No. I do have a buddy that just retired from United, 747 captain. Loved flying. He flew charter with me over at Cahokia, and he was still doing instruction and stuff like that. The reason being, he was a 747 long-haul pilot, which means he did not get very many landings in a month. Very, very little hand flying. Loves aviation, loves flying, but just wasn't getting the hand flying. And that's why he was doing the other stuff out on the side because of that. Thoughts on hiring low-time guys? 6-700s hire for personality, train for talent. Here's the thing about it. Right now, with what's happening, the minimums that people are asking for are going down. Now, there is a floor for those minimums because of the legal requirements. But you're going to find that those requirements get lower and lower. Years ago, I talked to a guy that got on with a regional, and this was before I even had my multi-engine rating. I asked him, what kind of experience did you have? How much multi-engine time? He said, yeah, 2.5. I said, wow, 2,500 hours. He said, no, I had 2.5 multi-engine. And he literally had gotten hired the day after he got his multi-engine rating. That's his ride. But that's the exception. That was at a different time when there was a big demand for hiring. But now we're swinging back into a big hiring demand time. Let's see. Have you ever been in Portugal? No, but I would love to. Have you ever had other control to FBO people recognize you, like the one video where the tower said, "Is that Captmoonbeam?" Yes, I have. I have been, people say, "Hey, is that?" Well, I'll tell you, one of the first times it happened, it was flying out of DFW Dallas. We took off. I'm in the right seat. The other guy's in the left seat. I'm doing the radios. Tower hands us off to DFW approach. And I call approach. Said, so-and-so's with you. There's a long pause. And the guy says, "Moonbeam, we've been looking for you." I was like, what the hell? So that was a big shocker. That was the first big shock. He said, "Man, we've been trying to find you. Couldn't figure out where you were. Enjoy your videos. Thanks." And they invited me to come by the tower there. And but I never had a chance to, because it just goes in different places. Hey, Bob Robert, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Okay, a loaded question. Those are my favorite. But do you and Mike have a good relationship? And is he left seat qualified? Man, I'm still recovering from the bruises right across the face the other day. No, we're great buddies. We do stuff together all the time. And he's just not big on being on the videos. And but he did get a big surprise the other day because the line guy recognized him and said, "Hey, man, you flew Air Force One, didn't you?" And he was shocked, literally shocked. And the only thing I can figure is somebody who had been following us must have seen a question that I had responded to because people asked what his background was. And he talked to him for a while, but you could tell he was just absolutely shocked that somebody recognized him. He's great to fly with. Fantastic pilot, fantastic landings, man. He said, I joke about him, but he sets the bar high on those landings. I can't be a slacker around him. And so he'll plan stuff for us to do. He'll research. He's really good at this. We'll be going someplace new, and he'll get on the internet and start researching, and he'll say, "Hey, man, I found we can do this hike, or there's this going on, or this restaurant," and we'll go do stuff. We'll take a hike, go climb a mountain, go to a museum, different things. We spend a lot of time together, a lot. Like our last trip to Vegas. went exploring on the Strip. Went and found a little Irish pub right there at New York, and probably sat for a couple of hours, talking and listening to. There was an outdoor rock band there, so he's a great guy. I have nothing but good things to say about him. Hopefully he won't start the Captain Mike channel that we're exposed Moonbeam or something like that. Let's see what we got here. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it. I'll keep them coming. Let's see. Yeah, some of this stuff, don't worry about if I repeat, because almost every time it's new people asking you questions. And sometimes the answers are longer, sometimes they're shorter, and sometimes they may digress into a story or something. Because one reason I like to share the stories is because all of them have something you can learn. Because you learn so much when you're doing these ratings, but by the time when you get your certificate, that's almost like a certificate to learn. Because now you're out in the real world and you find there's all this other stuff that you had not encountered in your studies, or your instructor had not told you about. Different real world experiences. Let's see. Thank you. Appreciate it, CJ. Let's see. I'll start flying Citation Bravo. I used to fly a Bravo. Yeah. Any tips and tricks for Citation? The thing about Citation, it's a very straightforward, honest airplane. And that straight wing is probably the reason why. So I think you're going to enjoy it. Won't have any problems with it. What else can I say about it? Study. Yeah. Let's see. We got somebody else from the NK. Oh, Neil. Typewriter CJ4. CJ4 is a great airplane. We were thinking about getting one. Looks like that's not going to happen now. But that's just the way it is. It'll be something else. Let's see. Solve my landing issues. Yes. Yeah. If you want to really get your landings down, fly a tail dragger. Absolutely. Stick and rudder. That's all that is. Yeah. That's one regret I do have in my aviation career. I do not have a tail dragger endorsement. I flew as a passenger once in a tail dragger and a Cub. Absolutely loved it, but never did that. And I really should, but I just never had the opportunity. Was always busy flying, and it's hard to spend the money when you got a wife and kids and stuff like that going on. Let's see. Cars? Any cars? Well, I don't know. I said earlier, I've got my first truck. That's about it. My first car was a Ford Mustang Mach 1. And it had a bullet hole in the back of it. I bought it used off some lot. I always wondered what the heck happened. It was sky blue. And it was 1969. I regret to this day selling that car because it would have been a collector's item. Should have kept it, but I didn't know then. I was just a kid in high school. Let's see. Oh, okay. You fly through Spirit. Man, if you see me there, you got to say hi. Yeah. Look for the Captmoonbeam hat. Don't have one of those. Nope. But I got a flight wear hat now. I should have worn it, Let's see. Thanks, Cherokee Nation. Appreciate that. What's my favorite plane in your fleet to fly? Well, right now, the M2 is gone, and the Caravan, it was in the islands. It may be back in Florida now, is gone. So it's just the one I'm flying, the XL. Usually my favorite airplane is the one I'm flying, the one that's paying the bills. Karen Roberts. Hey, good to have you here. And let's see, what do we got? We got 136 people here. And let me get back to my, let's see. Okay. I need to get back to with Jeff Fabiano. We were talking about that earlier for flight sim stuff. I got to give him a call when I get down to Florida there, because I said I would do that. He's got I think he's got 1 million subscribers now. If not, that's where he's about to be. Craziest passenger story. Okay, I will tell you, crazy passenger story. This guy, I only flew with him once. He was, and I had already heard stuff about him, and he was just, oh no, it wasn't once. I flew 10 years earlier. His pilot had to go to school or something, and I flew his airplane for a day. The only thing that happened was at the end of the day, he asked me if I wanted a job, and I told him, no, I'm happy where I'm at. So then 10 years later, it's in this Gulfstream, and I think he was thinking about buying it or going in as a partner. And we flew down to we flew to Florida, and then down to the islands, and then down back to the town we had started at. And this was all in one day. And by the end of the day, no, not the end of the day, because we dropped him off in the Bahamas. He was just absolutely a wreck. He was drunk, literally just drunk. And I had no idea. I had heard them hollering in back at each other about something. I figure they were having some heated argument or something, but he was just literally toast. And I was afraid when he got off the plane, he was just going to go head first, boom, hit the concrete. He's probably the worst. Most people are very, very good to you. Yeah, I just can't think of anybody that stands out that was a problem other than that. And it was a very short problem for us. He was gone. Excuse me. Whoops, you know what? I'm coming up on an hour here, so I'm going to have to quit in just a little bit. Maybe I can answer a couple other questions. Oh, you're welcome, Karen. Happy to do that. On trips where you have to lay over several days, is your wife allowed to fly out to meet you? That's a good question, Bob. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why she couldn't come out and meet me. But there is a practical problem, and that is sometimes the trips change. Just because we think we're going to Wichita doesn't mean that the trip can't change and we go to Dallas. Or instead of being there 3 days, we may go back later that day because their meeting didn't work out. It didn't turn out to be what they thought it was, or we could stay along. Things change. And she went with me on a trip to Nassau last year, and I warned her ahead of time. I said, look, anything can happen. If it does, don't worry. If there's a problem with you being on the airplane because we don't have enough seats or something like that, I'll just send you back to Southwest. She'd actually come down on the airplane. And sure enough, the last day when we were heading back to St. Louis, another partner and his wife happened to be down there. They were part owners in the airplane, and they decided to come back with us. So all I did was I just put her on a Southwest flight. She ended up going back 3 hours earlier than she would have, so it wasn't even a big deal. And took care of that. But, she, up until recently, I mean, our kids are just out of the house for the first time this year. Excuse me. So that made it very difficult for her to, travel with me and do stuff. Now, I know guys that fly larger airplanes where their flight attendant was actually the wife and would go with them a lot of times. But you have to be really flexible, for that. Tasty burgers, I love tasty burgers. Don't have a glider rating. I had a guy fill in, and we flew down to Florida. I put it on Instagram, and we went to West Miami Airport, I think. No, it was Homestead General Aviation Airport. And they've got a group down there that gives glider lessons. And he took an intro lesson. It was 30 minutes long, and I think it was about $120. And he loved it. I was thinking maybe next time I might do that. That sounds like a lot of fun. Looks like a lot of fun. I took some Instagram pictures and put that up there. See, I don't know if I can do it to you now. This is probably just so friggin' boring. Hold on. I got it. Well, there he is. Okay. Let's see if this will work. Yeah. So there he is getting some instruction before going up and flying the glider. His instructor sat behind him, and man, they just took off. They had an old crop duster. I think one of the might have been a Cessna Pawnee that towed the airplane up, and then cut them loose, and they circled around, flew around, and came in and landed. But I don't have a glider rating. Will I ever do a video with a cold and dark setup on one of the planes? Probably not. Two reasons. The first reason is, you know, and I'm not saying this against you or anything like that, but because of the size of the airplanes that I fly that they're getting to, you know, I don't want to teach somebody how to go out to an airplane and start it up and get off the runway. I figure if somebody wants to learn how to fly an airplane, they need to get with an instructor and do that. It really doesn't quite cover this, but technically, if you're doing instruction in an aircraft, a turbojet over 12,500 pounds for a type rating, that would be one of the parts of it. That person has to have a background check through the Department of Homeland Security. So I decided when I was doing this, you know, I don't even want to go in that direction. I can understand why a lot of people would, but just because of that, because I don't want to put myself in that position. And at the time when I started this, I was on a 12.5 program because of the charter company I was working with. And so I thought, yeah, I don't even want to even get in a position where somebody may be asking questions, because when you're doing that, then you've got to have your own background check, and it just wasn't worth it. And the other thing is, that is so technical that the part of your audience tends to drop off, you know, as you're sitting there and going through all the items and stuff like that. So what I do is I catch little different parts and pieces of it, like on the video that I put up today, where I'm talking about the circuit breakers in the airplane on both sides, why they have the colored collars on them, and the fact those collars make it easier to pop the circuit breaker if you need to. And I was explaining the fact that all the yellow circuit breakers are on the left electrical bus that's coming off the left generator. All the blue ones are off the right bus coming off the right generator, and the red ones are all off the emergency bus. If we had a dual generator failure where we had to go to the emergency position on the battery switch, all that we would have left would be all of those red collared items that you see in there, which is not a lot. And then we got the battery pack for the emergency standby gyro flight display in addition to that. So yeah, but I don't think I would ever do a comprehensive walkthrough from start to go type thing. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. Yeah, you know, the thing is with doing this, and I've seen stuff where I thought other YouTubers that are maybe, I thought, man, you need to be careful what you're showing here. There was one in particular, and I saw his video. I thought, uh-oh, you know, if I had your phone number, I would call you and say, hey, man, you need to remember that, you know, it's not just aviation enthusiasts who are watching these videos. You know, sometimes, you know, I've got lots of followers that are ATC guys, FAA, feds, and stuff like that. And this guy was flying, and I'm not going to say his name, but you probably know who he is. He was doing a 135 trip, and the feds jumped on him because he was doing the video doing a 135 trip. And if you look at the regs, you know, first of all, you got sterile cockpit under 135 and or 121. So any messing with the camera or anything like that, anything that's a distraction, is a violation of the regs. You know, you can't be turning around and talking to your YouTube followers while you're on an approach, you know, for the camera. I mean, that's a clear violation. So you just got to be careful. You know, this is a wonderful opportunity for people who are interested in aviation, because 20 years ago, this wasn't out there. You couldn't get on the internet and ask somebody a question, you know, on the other side of the world about flying airplanes and get an answer. You know, you had to get on the phone, find a place, go drive your car somewhere or something like that. So, I mean, it's quite a blessing for all of us to have this now. And I really appreciate it. You know, the ability to talk directly to everybody here, all you guys and ladies also. Hey, King of Out West, Orlando, Florida. Man, I'm sorry you weren't here sooner, because it's been over an hour now and my wife's making dinner. So I'm going to have to sign off here. I was going to answer a couple of more quick questions. If I could fly any airplane that I wanted to fly, I've got a couple of favorites, and they are all older airplanes that won't be flying much longer. I would love to fly a P-51 or a B-17. And you know, maybe a DC-3 also. Older piston airplanes. Okay, from Ireland, hello. Most early I see the Airlines 121. Yeah, you definitely have a problem with that. When I was reading the stuff about this with the 135, I couldn't find anything that specifically prohibited that, but the 121 does. And that's why I had my camera always set up before we started the descent. And if it fell down, if something happened, well, that's just the way it is. And then once I got back home, that 30 minutes of raw footage is what I would work with. Okay, let's see. Oh, thanks. I appreciate it, Roger. Really do. Okay, well, you guys are coming here, and I really appreciate you being there. I appreciate you guys watching my videos. I want you to enjoy the weekend. You guys keep the blue side up, the brown side down, and fly safe. See, now you get to watch the old guy try to find the button for ending the stream. Bam. There we go.